Hello and welcome into the USL report. For those of you looking for Mauricio's Corner, don't worry. Not only do we have Mauricio, but the corner will be coming up in just a bit, folded into the larger USL report that we launch here today. We'll be talking about all things USL as well as soccer in the United States and involving the national teams. And of course, talking about the USL Super League that had Mauricio a great launch here in Jacksonville this past week. Just a wonderful event down at the River Club. I thought it was as exciting a day as we've had in soccer in a long time here in town.
Yeah, really 1 month from the national announcement that was made by the USL Super League, and being able to host here in town and celebrate our presence in women's professional football here in the U.S. I think it's something that we saw from that event, a huge amount of excitement from young players, partners, older people that have followed the game, and to be able to experience it here in their hometown was something special.
And we had some dignitaries in town as well who had something to say about the launch of the Jacksonville USL Super League team, including the mayor-elect, Donna Deegan.
It's so wonderful that I'll have young women to say, this is something I might be able to be a part of one day and to look up to you. So I just think this is a wonderful step. It really shows that anything is possible when you put your mind to it. And I don't think that there's anything that brings a city together or a community together like sports. And as I said, certainly women's sports. I'm so excited to have a professional women's sports team here in Jacksonville. And I look forward to supporting you for many years and to being your biggest cheerleader. So thank you so much, and welcome to Jacksonville.
Today in the women's game, there's 12, soon to be 14 women's professional teams. On the men's side, there's over 100 right now. So yeah, little boys today have the opportunity to look up and say, wow, one day I can be a pro. So we need to fill that opportunity gap, and that's what the USL Super League is doing, is saying, you know what, you can be, all these little girls here today, or even the college-age women who are here that play in the W League, like, you can be a professional athlete. There are jobs for you in this sport, and you can build a career in it now.
A big part of this, of course, is creating that culture when you have a new club. You had to do that when you started the program in Florida.
Completely.
So what's important to build a culture from the ground up?
Honestly, it's getting the right people, but then it's also like creating some systems and creating some structure, like infrastructure, to where everyone understands and they're operating in their sweet spots. And that sounds easy, but it's really a complicated process, and it's really intentional. I think that's the big thing, is can you be intentional with the people you hire?
You had success pretty early on, 3 years in, right? You won a national championship. But then you were able to sustain success for a long time. Was it a different job to build it than it was to keep it going?
Yeah, I think it's. I think when you are climbing that hill, it's kind of exhilarating. When you're trying to maintain, it's a lot harder. And I think both have their own challenges, but they're very different.
All right, there's some comments from the mayor-elect as well as the president of the USL Super League, and then from Becky Burley, the national championship winning coach at the University of Florida. And Mauricio, you've known her for quite a while. Boy, you can just really get the sense that she really understands about building culture, and it's going to be a huge addition to JaxUSL.
Yeah, and she talked on the press conference about this coming full circle for her, being part of the Gainesville, North Florida fabric of college soccer and women's soccer in general. For her to have an opportunity now to be a part in a consulting role for our club, get the right people on the bus, as she mentioned, working with the right people, make sure the culture is right, covering any blind spots that we may have as a new organization. And there aren't a whole lot of women's pro organizations in the country just yet. So make sure that we get this right with the right people. I think we got that right with Becky.
Yeah, no, you could really feel it from just the way she spoke as well as the way she interacted with everybody there in the room. It was something. All right, let's move on now to the U.S. women's national team preparing for the World Cup. And this past week, the World Cup roster was rolled out. There are plenty of familiar names from a team that has won quite a bit, but a lot of new faces as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what excites me, and I think the world, if they don't know some of these names yet, I think we know some of the more common names, Rapinoe, Alex Morgan and Ertz, but I think getting Sophia Smith, getting Trinity Rodman as part of this roster as depth, but I think some of them they're going to end up being superstars. And if the world stage don't know them just yet, or even if the U.S. stage aren't as familiar, obviously Sophia Smith, NWSL Player of the Year last year, I'm excited to see this new generation that's going to complement the two-time defending world champion. They were trying to get a three-time defending world champion now.
Looking for another star on that crest coming up this year. Of course, it's being held in Australia and New Zealand, so some late nights coming up, but we'll have some watch parties as well to announce. So be sure to stay tuned here and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our social media for JaxUSL. We'll give you some of those information bits coming up. All right, now on to the USL Championship, and there was a move made today, or rather earlier this week, with Hartford Athletics saying goodbye to U.S. soccer legend Tab Ramos, who was the head coach. You see Ramos's information right there. 4 World Cups, including 3 as a player, 81 caps for the United States, but really got off to a rough start, and they had to make the move.
They did, and I think that speaks to the ambition of the league. And and down South Florida, Anthony Pulis was relieved of his duties as well last week. I think talks about the USL really USL teams trying to push to the top of the league and not just being comfortable. Tab Ramos, as you mentioned, super well respected in the league, a bit of a legend in U.S. soccer, but it just wasn't working. The project wasn't working there with him, at the lead. So they made a change, and I think it talks about the ambition of the league, and it's not okay to be at the bottom, and they're going to make changes like how it is everywhere else in the world, and we don't want to see that for anybody for sure. But Hartford, I think they have a reputation up there. It's a really good soccer city. They've done a really good job of building that culture, and it just felt like it wasn't the time for Tab. So start fresh.
All right, we'll take a closer look now at some of the results from this past week in the USL Championship. And right out of the gate, Tampa Bay's 4-2 win over Loudoun United really jumps out at you, as does Memphis continuing their winning ways. Sacramento Republic also scoring 3. Those 3 big goal-scoring performances, certainly the first thing that you see.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you see a lot of goals, right? I think that's kind of where your eyes get drawn to. A lot of parity in the league, as we talk about. And if you look at the bottom of the table there, Sac Republic and San Antonio, really a big game. I mean, number 1 against number 3, defending champion San Antonio. But Sac Republic just keep figuring out a way to win games and big games. So they get back to the top of the league again. But what a great result from Memphis against Charleston Battery in that number 1-2 spot as well.
All right, let's take a closer look at the standings, starting with the West. And Sacramento Republic back on the top of the table, and you see that goal differential at plus 19. So impressive. But look at all those teams right behind. El Paso Locomotive, Monterey Bay, all the way up there, having won 4 straight. There are some teams really hitting their stride right now as we get close to midseason.
Yeah, there really is. I mean, Sac Republic and El Paso, I think they're starting to distance themselves. You look at points, they're 32 and 30, starting to kind of start gaining a little bit of separation. But Monterey Bay, San Antonio, we keep talking about Oakland roots, just staying in the ball right, just keeping their name fresh in everyone's mind. And I really look at San Diego and Colorado Spring Switchbacks. They've dropped a little bit. A couple weeks ago, we we're talking about them at top of the league. Now they're starting to kind of get into that playoff line.
All right, we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Again, the top 8 in each conference make the postseason. So back to the East, and Pittsburgh back up to the top again, unbeaten in their last 5. You see Memphis, they haven't lost in 12. They are really on a roll now, still have a couple of games in hand on the teams ahead of them. Tampa Bay also unbeaten in their last 5. So you've got some teams in the East who are starting to separate themselves by their performance as well.
Well, absolutely, and I think we keep going back to what's going on in Memphis. They lost their first 2 games of the season under Coach Glass. They haven't lost since. That's 12 unbeaten games since they started the season. I think that's pretty impressive. And you look at the standings; they got 2 to 3 games in hand. If they continue this form, they might just run away with it.
Yeah, it's tough to keep up that kind of stretch over the course of a long season, but we'll see if it all plays out. All right, time now. Yes, it is for Mauricio's Corner. I told you it wasn't going anywhere. We just tucked it away. Time to take a closer look at our game of the week.
Yeah, Coy, and we looked at Oakland Roots against Phoenix Rising. There's a little bit of history behind that. Phoenix Rising coach Guerra was the Oakland Roots coach last year. Mid-season, kind of got poached a little bit. However, that went down, but there's a little bit of drama, kind of how that went. But Oakland Roots team looks largely like Coach Juan Guerra's team, and now that he's with Phoenix Rising. So it was a bit of a rivalry game. I think the rivalry was created because of that. But 2 teams that really contrast each other. They block each other out, the way they play, the way they're shaped up. So I really want to show how exciting the game was. Both teams playing a 4-3-3. They both get at it from a possession standpoint, look to break lines, playing those gaps. But they also defend really well. They press when there's an opportunity to press, and they kind of just sit deep when pressure has been broken. So the game kind of went back and forth and created some really good moments for both teams. And you can see right from the beginning of the game, and you got Oakland in black here, getting balls into those gap. Big switch of play, but good interaction between players in the wide areas and shots getting across in the face of the goal.
Again, as you mentioned, these two teams have a similar approach, both in terms of the attack and defending. So they're used to seeing this kind of thing in training every day.
They really are, and both teams do a good job of taking away the center of the field. So you're going to see a lot of play in the wide channels here, and really great players to go 1v1. If they have an opportunity to go on 1v1 quickly before they get support, and you can see number 17 really going at players, not allowing the 2v1 to get created defensively and getting balls into the box.
This is a little later on, second half now, and Phoenix with possession.
Yeah, and Phoenix here in wide, breaking lines through the middle, and you can see the run here on the bottom of the screen. Same thing. Can we get the ball into the wide areas? Can we get 1v1? Can we get shots across? You're going to see Phoenix doing quite a bit of this in the second half.
That would have been a fantastic goal, but a great chance there made by a beautiful through ball. Take another look at it.
Yeah, and you can see they're looking to break lines through the ground, on the floor as best as they can, so players, when they receive it, they have an opportunity with it.
Now 77th minute, a little bit later on, and Phoenix in black losing possession.
No, here Phoenix is in white here. Good press from the top from the keeper. Didn't give up a whole lot as far as options for him where to go. Take it. Can they get vertical right away? And that's exactly what they did, and they got a shot off.
Beg your pardon, yeah, Phoenix in white. And now here's Oakland with the opportunity, 82nd minute.
Almost a similar play where Phoenix could have capitalized, but guess what? Oakland capitalized on this one. First opportunity that Oakland really had in the second half, but same thing, off of a high press moment of a turnover. Can we get vertical as soon as you win it? Teams are unbalanced, they're big and open at that moment. They got forward, a great shot across, and make it a 1-0 for Oakland Roots.
And feeling like maybe they can come away with the 3 points there in the late going.
Yeah, and I just love here, you can see on the replay, and when they win it, they have a verticality in the attacking half, and they really take advantage of it because they were wide open at the moment.
But in stoppage time, do we have a little drama?
Yeah, once again, get into those wide areas, get that 1v1 before the defender comes and helps. And boom, get a ball in. I mean, you're looking at the 93rd minute in the game. Phoenix did not stop coming. They were the better team in the second half. And similar to how we saw some of the other videos, out wide, 1v1, and they were able to convert here.
Yeah, take another look at it on the replay. This is the kind of matchup you look forward to seeing in the playoffs.
Well, and you see what it means to this team, right? And you think the game is over at this point. I mean, you look at it now, it's the 94th minute. And could it be?
Oh, boy.
Right after Phoenix scored.
Goals
get scored after goals are scored. But not to be. Phoenix keeper does a great job of saving it and getting the tie on the road. But you can see a really exciting game. Two teams that play really similar in the way they go back and forth.
And not all draws are created equal. That one had some moments to it for sure.
Yeah, and I think Oakland are probably going to beat themselves up a little bit. Phoenix was the better team on the night. They went up with 10 minutes to go. They gave up the tie, and they could have gotten the win with no time left on the clock, and just not to beat today.
All right, we'll be keeping a close eye on the playoff chase as the season progresses. And our next game of the week, Orange County against Monterey Bay. We talked about Monterey Bay really making a surge out west. We'll be taking a closer look at that coming up next week. Once again, remember to keep your eyes peeled and stay connected with us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll have information on our Women's World Cup watch parties coming up later on in the month of July. For Mauricio Ruiz, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks for watching the USL Report. We'll talk to you next week.